Okay, recording has been started. Welcome everyone to our today's trader session with Salah. And we are starting with a short introduction from Salah before we are going over into the question and answers. And yeah, I think that's it. And I hand over.
Welcome everyone. Most of you know me. For those who don't know me, my name is Salah. I'm the AI trader with Crypticorn. I do some manual trades, like personal trades sometimes, most of the times technically. I have a team with, let's say, improving the prediction of the AI when it comes to technical analysis and when it comes to price prediction. I've been in the trading industry for around 5 to 6 years. I do have a different way of analyzing coins. I do have different perspectives about how I look at the market. So the way I trade is very uncommon, really uncommon. It's a method I developed myself over the years. And I won't be diving today into details about technical analysis and how to analyze charts, but we will be talking mostly about the basics. When it comes to crypto in general, there's the basics and there's the advanced, but the basics are way than the advanced stuff. Hopefully, this will be the first video we make and which will be added to the academy, which we are willing to do. It will be a learning academy where you would start from, let's say, zero to hero. You would learn all the basics, and hopefully with time, we would be able to get more into more advanced stuff with time. So currently Bitcoin is going as predicted. It's currently pretty bullish. I do think it's going to reach the 73,000 areas. As mentioned on the group, today's meeting will be more about how to read signals. There's a lot of issues with people on entry prices, liquidation price, when to take profits, how to calculate your risk when you enter the trade. So I'm going to be talking in general. First of all, we do future trading. I do sometimes some spot signals. Mostly I share them on the token holders group. So in case you guys haven't joined yet, you could be joining by buying tokens from the Crypticorn website. The minimum purchase is around $300, and you would then have access to everything, spot and futures, and sometimes I do some private signals over there. Sometimes I do some tips and tricks. Sometimes I do some explanatory, like really advanced explanatory stuff on the token holders group, which is this one over here. So if you want to join, definitely buy some tokens and join the community. So how to read the signal, this is going to be our main topic for today. After that, we will be having a small Q&A. In case you guys have any questions, we could be asking them. Just a general idea is going to break the 71K. This is just a out of the topic. This is a psychological resistance, and it's going to break it probably in the next candle. I think so. So, yeah. We start with the coin itself. You guys need to know that there's different exchanges, different prices. So the exchange that we use as Crypticorn is BingX. The last trade we sent, which was Badger, there was a kind of a confusion due to the difference in prices between exchanges. Some people did hit SL, some people did not. Eventually, the trade did hit SL, but sometimes the trade does not hit SL, but on like different exchanges such as Bybit or KuCoin, it might hit SL, but the trade would eventually turn into profit. So it's preferable to be using the same exchange that we use, which is BingX. Unfortunately, it's not available in all countries. So in case your country has like banned the application, you could be using different apps. But eventually, this is something we can't control. We can't control the change or the difference in the price between exchanges. So the signal starts with a very simple explanation. Short badged USDT. The pair is USDT, which means USDT is a stable coin. So we are buying badged or any coin with USDT, and our profit is based on USDT as well. The entry is a range, so I do have 2 entries for my signal, which I usually send, and it's usually the entry. Yeah, buy some tokens. Usually, the entry is around a 3 to 4% range. So the entry, let's say if the coin is around $1, usually the entry price is around. If you want to, let's say we're going to short, it's from $1 the first entry, and the second entry would be 1.04, which is a 4% difference from our first entry, which is around 80% on an X or a leverage X20. So always have 2 options for entering a signal. The first option is entering at the first entry with the same amount that you would be entering at the second entry. So for me, what I like my trading style, the way I trade, the way I do let's say my calculation and my margin calls and how much I do put in a trade, that is really something personal. Everyone has his own percentages, but I usually use around probably 8% to 10% per trade. It is a little bit high risk considering the percentage that I'm using, but this is something you should be calculating, and I will be talking about how to calculate your loss with the liquidation price, the leverage, and the margin, and how to like connect the 3 of them so you could know understand the risks in your trade. So usually you could put 2 limit orders, which is usually the trades that are sent are limit orders, which means that if you want to enter a trade, let's say we want to short Bitcoin right now at 72,000. So we do not short it at the moment because it's currently at 70,650. So what we need to do is put a limit order at 72,000. So the moment the signal is sent, the moment you see the signal, you're gonna put a limit order at 72,000 and another limit order with the first one at, let's say, 74,000. So putting 2 limit orders at the same time is very important because sometimes there's a lot of volatility in the market, sometimes there's a lot of manipulation, sometimes the coin does not work as we want it to be. So there should always be a second entry in case a second limit entry in case you were away from the phone or like the coin just bumped in a couple of seconds and then dumped back down. You would be having your second entry ready, and you would be using and leveraging the coin's movement. All the examples are given as a short trade, as a trade going down. You guys noticed I mostly do short trades, not long trades. This is just a personal preference. I think short trades are, let's say, more easier to understand than long trades. This is just my personal perspective. And yeah, so the first option is to have 2 entries, the first entry and the second entry as limit orders. The second option is having 1 entry at the average entry price. So let's say we bought Bitcoin at 72,000, we shorted it. Then we shorted Bitcoin again at 74,000. So we put $1,000 at $72,000, $1,000 at $74,000. So the average amount we bought or we paid for as a short trade is $4,000 by the two entries on the average price, which is between 74 and 72,000, which is 73,000. So the options that we do have is having a limit order at 72 and the limit order at 74. Or the second option would be just having one limit order with $2,000, let's say for an example, at the 73,000 level. So this is really very based on personal preference. It's something you decide. I personally change depending on the trade, depending on how I see its movement. Sometimes I think like this coin might not even hit the second in the second entry, and it's probably not gonna even hit the average entry. So I just enter at the entry price, and I put a limit order at the entry, the second entry, in case I felt that this coin is kind of let's say. Sorry, so in case the coin was volatile, I would have my entries at the first entry and the second entry. In case I thought that the maximum, like again, based on my analysis and based on my perspective, it differs from person to person, then I felt that it might maximum reach the average entry. I don't think it's going to reach the second entry. So I would put my one limit order entry at the average entry level. So it's very personal. It's very based on individuals, and you could be trying both ways and see how which one works better for you. Maybe you're someone who does not want to waste any trade. Maybe you're someone who isn't willing to take the risk. Maybe you're someone who does not want to stress out if the entry hits the average entry or not. So it really depends on your personal preference again. So give me a second. You guys can hear me well, right?
Yes,
Yep.
I can hear you very well.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
For some reason I can't.
Yep.
Yeah. Can like someone raise his hand if he can hear me, because I can't hear you for some reason.
I can hear you too.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, give me just 1 second.
Okay, let's wait a few moments.
Can you guys hear me now? I mean, you could hear me. I can't hear you for some reason. So, guys, hopefully, anyone who has any questions, you could be sending them to me via text. I have no idea why I can't hear any one of you, but I checked all the settings with my microphone, so with my headset. So, in case you guys have any questions, you could hear me. I can't hear you. I don't know why. So, unfortunately, I'm like really bad with the setting stuff. So, I'm gonna continue with the. One second. You could hear the music. Okay. Should be better now. Do you want me to lower the music? Is it like better like that? Okay, so okay, we're gonna continue. So we talked about the average entry price and the entry price number one, and so there's something we really need to understand before entering a trade, before deciding if you guys want to enter this trade or not. Okay, you guys need to be calculating the loss. Calculating the loss is very important. Understanding the loss is very important, and not feeding out. So let's say you have a $1,000 capital, you entered the trade did not go exactly as you want from the beginning, so it went oppositely, and you saw, let's say, around $500, $600 loss. The trade is still in the enterprise, but you are freaking out. You've lost a very decent amount of your portfolio. So this is something very important you guys need to be calculating. There is a future in the Binance calculator. So you guys want to calculate the trade before entering. You need to understand how much is the possible loss if this trade hits. So I'm gonna be taking a. Okay, Doc. So I'm gonna be taking an example, which okay. So Badger, let's say our average entry price, or let's say we're just gonna enter at the first entry, just for an example, so you guys would understand the percentages which I'm gonna be talking about. Usually, my SL from the first entry is around 150%, so that's around 7.5%. Different prediction than the prediction I want. So even if it's 1,000% loss, this is something very important you guys need to understand. So let's say we entered Badger at 6.8 and our exit price, which is the stop loss, was at 7.268. Let's say we had $1 invested. So the loss that we have if we enter on the average entry on the first entry is 135% minus. So we need to understand that if I have a $100 or $1,000 account and I wanted to invest $100 in this trade, if this trade hits an SL, I'm gonna lose $135. If you could accept this number, go for it. If you can't accept the number, you have multiple options. Either do not enter this one. The second, which is more professional, which you could be doing, which represents controlling your emotions, not feeling out, is changing your entry price, which is, let's say, I'm not going to be entering at 6.8. I'm going to be entering at the average entry price, which is 6.95, for an example. Our loss would be around 90%. So from 135% loss, $135 loss from a, let's say, $1,000 account, we're saying that's around the 13.5% loss of the total capital. we are losing 90%, which is around $90, which is around 9% of the $1,000. This is as a percentage of loss. So if you feel like this is still a big amount, you could be changing the entry price. I'm just changing the entry prices right now. I'm not changing the margin. So we're just changing entry prices. We haven't changed the leverage yet. We haven't changed the margin yet. These three are related to each other's, and understanding the relationship is very important for you guys to be able to decide how much to enter, at which entry price to enter, and yeah, really basic. Really basic, but basic is very important. Some people might not understand how important it is to understand the basics. They might end up losing a lot of money with time. So basics, then we go to the advanced part. Master the basics, then we start with the advanced part. So we could change the entry price again to 7.1, which is the second entry. And our loss would be around 45%, which is $45 out of $1,000 total margin, which is around 4.5% loss for one trade, which is, for me, is an acceptable amount. Again, it's personalized. You might think it's acceptable, you might not. So it's totally up to you. So this is one thing that we could be doing to limit, or let's say, 1 second, to get the best out of the trade and to understand how to do your capital management and risk management before even entering the trade. So this is point number one. If you want to calculate your risk, there's different ways to also minimize your risk. You could be also using minimizing the leverage. Minimizing the leverage means minimizing the loss and minimizing the profit. The whole crypto industry is based on one thing: the higher the risk, the higher the reward. That's how things work in crypto, and then even in Forex. So let's say, again, at a leverage of 10, our loss would be half, which is at the leverage of 20, which is around 22% loss, which is around $20 loss from a $1,000 account, which is around 2%, which is also very acceptable for one trade. The thing you need to understand is that the percentage does not matter. Okay, so the percentage could be, Darth knows my wallet is around $10. So the percentage I do in trades does not matter. The reason I use small percentages is for like better trading predictions and better calls. It's something personal for me, so I won't be stressing out. This is something we're not going to be like talking about really into details, but Darth knows. So the percentage does not matter. What matters is the amount of a margin is invested, the amount of margin. So let's say we have a trade which is at 125 leverage, and we have invested $1. Our profit would be 281%. That's that's a profit of $2.8. The percentage is very high, but the margin is very low. But if we do, it's the same as having a leverage 1 and having $125 invested. So 2.25% of the $125 is 2.82. It is the same amount. That what's different is the percentage. So when you want to calculate the loss of a signal which I send, don't look at the percentage. Look at the total amount of USDT you will be losing if it hits stop loss. If you think that this amount is bigger, or you can't accept this amount of risk, or you don't want to lose this amount of money, what you could be doing is lowering the amount invested on the entry itself. So leverage is something we use for the higher the leverage, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. My personal recommendation for the leverage is 20. If you're using Bitcoin, my personal preference, the maximum leverage you could be using is around 40 to 50%. But again, the more you increase the leverage, the more you need to decrease the amount of USDT taken. You need to do a balance between the leverage. The more you increase leverage, the more you need to lower the amount of margin. The more you increase the margin, the more you increasing your leverage. Okay, makes sense? Both are the same. The results are going to be the same. The profits are going to be the same. The difference is that it's either the percentage which is different of profit, or it's either the amount of margin which is invested is different. So again, the most important part of this is calculating the amount of money you will be losing if the signal hits stop loss. The targets, we haven't even talked about the targets yet. We need to understand the risks before entering the signal. This is the most important part of risk management. Don't look at the profits, even if the TP is the last TP is 0 and the return on investment is going to be 10,000%. This does not matter. What matters is the if the trade goes wrong, we don't want to get liquidated. We don't want to lose half of our total margin. We don't want to fuck things up, if that makes sense. Sorry for using for cussing. So after we were able to understand at which entry prices we want to enter, we have understood what's our average entry price. We have understood how to do the risk management part before entering. Thanks for the let's say okay. So we understood all of these. It's time for us before looking at the targets to understand the very basic yet very important thing is types of trades. We have two types of trades: cross margin and isolated margin. So a lot of people use isolated, a lot of people use cross. Personally, for me, it's based on two stuff, depending on the trade itself, depending on the vitality of the trade. So let's say, for example, Badger was a trade where manipulation was seen very clearly, which I sent on the group. So what I personally think is that this trade should have been an isolated trade, because the pump that we have seen, the 70% pump in less than 3 minutes, was insane. Sometimes if we were in the cross margin, the stop loss won't be activated as we want it to be, and we might end up losing more money than we expect to be losing. So this is why we might use an isolated trade, or you guys just don't want to take the risk. But the thing you need to understand about isolated trades is that you can't change the entry price. Once you entered an isolated trade, all you could do is add margin, but you won't be adding coins. You won't be adding the tokens. You won't be adding, you can't modify the entry price anymore. You're just entering at the specific price. The more you put money, the more you lose money on this specific entry price. You can't change it. So this is one of the very bad trades of the isolated trade. The good thing about the isolated trade is that if the coin ends up pumping insanely and we are shorting it, you won't lose more money than the money you have invested in this trade specifically, because it's isolated. It won't be taking money from anywhere else. This is the difference between the isolated trade and this is technically the definition of the isolated trade. When it comes to the cross trade, it is kind of complicated. So the cross trade, okay, my bad. So plus one more thing I need to add at the isolated trades. The isolated trades have a liquidation price of 100%. So as soon as you reach on an isolated trade 100% loss, the trade automatically closes and you lose all your money. This is something you need to know. Loss is not a loss until the trade is closed. So the trade might reach a 99.99% loss. You've lost $99.99. If you don't personally close it, manually close it, or if it does not hit your liquidation price, the money is not lost yet. There's a lot of trades which you've seen. For an example, Badger was a very good example of it, which barely hit its SL, then it went back to the entry price, and then it made some profit. So this is something you really need to understand. It's very important for you to understand. The difference between the or let's say the cross trades is something else. So the cross trade, you could enter at the entry price. What's the advantage of the cross trade is that you could add margin and you could be modifying your entry. So let's say if you buy at $1, then you buy at $2 with the same amount of money, your average entry price would be at 1.5. But the isolated trade, if you buy at $1, then you add the same amount of money at $2 before you get liquidated, because if you get liquidated, you can't add any more money. The trade closes. Your entry would still be at $1, and your liquidation price would now be at $3, and the percentage of loss would increase to 200%, so you could get liquidated. So you can't change the entry price. Your entry price is always going to be $1, no matter how much money you invest in this coin. This is for the isolated trades. For the cross trades, again, you could be maneuvering your entry price. This is very important to this helps you in getting more profit. This helps you in having a broader SL, which means you have a better entry, you have a better range of entry, and you have a better range for the SL. This also helps you in exiting the trades when the trades don't go as predicted. So let's say the coin pumped from $1 to $2, then it went back down to 1.5. In the case of the isolated trade, you would have been liquidated. In the case of the cross trade, you could have added money at $2. Your average entry is now at 1.5. When the coin got back to 1.5, you're gonna be exiting the trade. Give me a second. Okay, so sorry for the interruption. It's very important for us to understand the difference between the cross and the isolated trades. Again, it's very personal. The cross trade, when it reaches 100% loss, what it's going to be doing is that it's going to start taking money from your futures account. So if you have $1,000 in your futures account that you have invested $100, you will get liquidated at 1,000% loss. So you're gonna lose the $100 that you invested and the $900 you have in your futures account. So your liquidation price is going to be very far away, very broad when it comes to liquidation price. But if you enter an isolated trade and you entered with $100, as soon as you reach 100% loss, you're gonna lose only the $100 you invested, and you're not gonna be losing the $900 left you have in your futures account. So this might be very basic for people. This might be very complicated for other people. So again, we're starting from scratch. We're starting from zero. People who know this, it's good for you to remember these. People who don't, it's very important for you to understand them. And if you have any questions, you could be asking them as soon as we finish. I'm going to be talking as well as the targets. So the targets are, you obviously know, it's the take profit. It's where we need to take profit. These are 100%. I'm not gonna be saying inaccurate, but they are not guaranteed. So it might hit 4 targets, it might hit all the targets, it might not even hit one target, and it might just hit SL. So this is something very unguaranteed. The difference between a good trader and a bad trader, for an example, or even a better trader, is the accuracy of these signals, is how much accurate they are. They will never be 100% guaranteed, but they could be accurate more than others. This is just the difference. I think I need around, if I want to rush, I think I need around like 20, 30 more minutes. If I want to take my time, I might take a couple more hours. So it really depends on you guys if you have the time for it or not. So yeah. So the targets are where we take profit. Where do you take profit? This is the most asked question I get every time. It's 100% personal. It's up to you. You need to be setting up goals. You need to be setting up a specific amount of money you want to do out of a trade, a specific amount of money you want to do in a week, and then a specific amount of money you want to do every month. So if you have $1,000, your target is 2,000, then you need to make approximately around $250 a week. So this is 100% personal. Your target might be 10,000, your target might be 1,100. So the more obviously your targets need to make sense. They need to be legit. They need to be like not insane profits, but at the same time, if you want to take very low risk, that's totally up to you. The higher the risk, the higher the reward. This is how the game works in crypto. So how do you book your profits? The most important part before talking about booking profits is that if you want to get greedy, there's two ways in booking profits. You either get greedy, or you either don't take too much risk and just you're okay with a very small amount or like a decent amount of money you make per trade. This is totally up to you. So the most important part about hitting TPs is having put an SL at your entry price. As soon as the trade hits 6.7, for an example, you need to put your SL at your entry price, which is probably 6.8 or maybe 6.95, totally depending on your entry price. So in this way, you won't be losing money. So you're still in the trade, you have your entry. In case it gets back to the entry price or like even gets above the entry price, we're talking as a short position, you won't be losing your capital's money. You would be losing your profits money. So losing your profits money is something totally up to you. The signal was successful. It gave profits. If you want to book them or not, that's 100% personal. So for me, either hitting TP1, you move your SL to entry, or if the trade reaches more than 50%, so let's say, for an example, from 6.8 to 6.7, how much is that? Usually it's 40%, 35% by first TP. 6.9. Okay. I'm about 6.7. So it's the same thing. It's around 30% loss, 30% profit for a short trade, as said. But let's say you did not decide to enter at the first entry price. You entered at the average entry price, which is at 6.95. It's going to be around 71% profit. So you don't want to wait until you reach 72% profit so you could be moving your SL to entry. You could be moving your SL to entry probably at 6.8. Okay. So 6.8 for this. So it's around 43%. It did not hit the TP yet, but it is in profit because you entered it at the average entry price, at the entry price number 1. So you are at 43% profit. You don't want to risk it anymore. You could be moving your SL to entry. So you've got two options with regarding moving SL to entry. The third option, which is usually one I personally tell you, like move SL to entry maybe like at 6.9 or 6.92 for an example, which is around 8% profit or 10% profit. This is because personally, as my personal perspective, I do believe that the trade should not hit back this entry price. It should not hit our entry price back again. If it does hit our entry price, there's something wrong. There's some manipulation. There's some stuff which are not working as it needs to be. This is why I say like move SL to entry. The trade is starting to get risky. So yeah. Okay, fees. Fees is very important as well. You need to understand that each coin has specific fees. Every 8 hours or 6 hours, depending on the exchange, there are fees which are taken from you for opening the trade. It's a contract. They take fees from you. There's a couple of ways you could be like overcoming the system, which I will be explaining very briefly. It's off the topic, but usually the amount of percentage for fees they take per trade is around 0.001% of your total capital. So you need to also be calculating your fees. If you have big wallets, what you could be doing is very simple. Before a couple of minutes of the fees being taken from you, and you have multiple trades, multiple contracts open, all you could do is move your money from your futures account to your spot account, keep a couple of $100, just keep a very small amount of money. They're going to deduct them from the total amount. Then you could be moving after they deduct and after the timer resets for the next 6 or 8 hours for the next fees, you could be moving back your money back to your futures account. So this is something I personally do. You could be doing it, you could not be doing it, it's totally up to you. So targets are, again, we've talked about them. If you see the target is 5.2, that does not mean that the trade is going to hit 5.2. These are the prices that I think the coin might reach. I predict the coins might reach. The more far you go, the more you go TP4, TP5, TP6, the more time they need. So usually TP1 to TP4, these are short term, TP4 to TP6 are mid-term, and anything above TP6 is usually long-term trades. They might need a couple of days, sometimes they might take 5, 6, sometimes even a week. So it really depends on how patient you are, but never expect to enter at 6.8 and close the trade at 5.2 30 minutes later. You might see TP4, you might see TP5, but never take into consideration that this is the TP I'm going to be closing the trade 100% profit at. Always make sure you book profits on every TP, or if you want, every 2 TPs. So let's say you've entered at, this is a way of capital management as well, and risk management. Let's say we've entered at 6.95, the trade is now at 6.4. You haven't booked your profits yet. So there are 2 things you could do. You could keep your average, you could move your SL to entry, which is at 6.95, and you could close half of the trade. So you've booked half of the total trade at 6.4, let's say at 100% profit, and you still have the other half working perfectly with an SL at 6.95. Or what you could be doing as well is having your entry, moving your SL from your entry price to 6.6. So in case the trade keeps on going down, you're going to keep 100% of your total money invested, and you're going to make more money with time, with higher risk of getting back to hitting SL entry, because hitting 6.6 is much easier than hitting 6.25. But the thing is that if it reaches back from 6.4 to 6.6, the trade is going to close on your TP2. You're just going to lose the profit you made between 6.4 and 6.5. You're still in profit. You're losing profit money. You're not losing capital money. This is the most important part about TPs, about moving SL to entry, is understanding that it is not acceptable for any trader to lose money from his capital if the trade is in a winning trade, if the trade made you profit money. As soon as the trade makes a decent or an acceptable amount of profit money, you need to do risk management interventions so you won't damage your total capital. This is very important for the short term, mid-term, and long-term in trading. One more thing I need to be talking about is liquidation price. I don't mention liquidation price over here. This is something, again, you need to calculate when you open trades. They do tell you about what the liquidation price is. Obviously, we all know what liquidation price is. When when the trade hits this specific price, the money you have invested is liquidated. So the money is just disappeared. So this is liquidation price. We've talked about the margin. We've talked about the leverage. We've talked about um, moving SL to entry and how to modify our risks, how to book profits. We've talked about how to be able to do risk management strategies, how to calculate the risks, and how important it is to calculate your risk before entering the trade. The percentage you enter on each trade is totally dependent on you, depending on how much risk you want to take. Usually, I enter between 8 to 10%. This is just me, but some people prefer entering 3 to 5% per trades. So again, this is totally up to you. The lesser the money you invest, the lesser profit you make, but the lesser loss you make. So again, it's very personalized depending on everyone. And I think I will be ending this session here. I've talked a lot. I've been talking for the past 2 hours, not 1 hour probably. You guys, if you have any questions specifically related to the topic about trading the signals, I would really appreciate you asking them. If you could be asking them on Telegram, so I could be reading questions. If there are no questions related to the topic, then we might be able to ask a couple of questions outside the topics. Maybe we could be doing a live trading session depending on you guys. So yeah. So I have not calculated the win rate of the signals personally. I don't think if Darth did, but I think like for each 6 to 7 trades, I do hit one SL as on an average. Sometimes I do not hit an SL this often. Sometimes I do hit an SL this often. It really depends on the it really depends on the market vitality, how much trades I send. But all the trades are being sent on the Crypticorn AI Trader Signals group, the private one, which I only send. And you could be checking them over there. You could be seeing the accuracy over there. I think, Darth, it's we need to start like calculating the accuracy as well. Maybe starting like each month would be a good idea. Maybe starting from next month, we could be like calculating how many trades we're sending a month and what's the win rate of them. So that would be, we would have like maybe an Excel sheet or like physical evidence for the accuracy of the trades.
Yeah, I mean, we could, for example, if you're using Bing X, as you already do, then we can just go to the
Does anyone has
overview,
another question?
and then we could calculate it there.
Yeah, I can't hear you guys. You need to send you need to send me a. Does the day of the week or the time of the day is important? Definitely. Okay, so this is more technical analysis. It's not related to the signals, but yeah, you need to understand something. Anton, I'm gonna be answering your question last in case anyone has any questions related to the topic. In case not, I'm gonna be answering it. So the thing with me and BingX and having a $10 account is that I just enter. Sometimes I just enter random trades. So my accuracy is 100% inaccurate. If you like, because it's not just the signals I send on the Crypticorn AI Trader Signals group. Sometimes I just enter random stuff for absolutely no reason. And we have a new scammer. Yeah. Yeah, I'm probably gonna do a special dedicated account for these signals. Good idea. I don't know if I could be doing it on Big X though, because I already have an account. So Maybe it's available on Binance. I really have no idea. I probably do a sub account. Yeah. Okay, great. You could talk to me about the steps about how to create a sub account, hopefully, whenever you are free. Anyone has any different questions than Anton or Anton? Good time. So this is the second question about timing and trades. So the questions the question you asked, Slow-mo, is very broad. It's like asking, how does a car work? It's composed of multiple parts. It needs a lot of indicators. It needs a lot of understanding of multiple stuff. So it's not just like push your legs on the paddles or push your legs on the brakes. The mechanical on how the car actually works, from oil to the wheels to the brakes to the engine to the air conditioning to all these kind of stuff. It's really complicated, and I can't be answering this question now, but what I could be doing is providing you an answer within the academy over the period of time, over a period of multiple like a lot of time. So this question needs a lot of time to be answered, and a lot of research, a lot of practice, a lot of theory, a lot of everything. So yeah, I won't be able to answer this. Even if I wanted to, it takes a lot of time to explain. So hopefully when the academy is done, we would be able to, it's an open-ended question. So if I wanted to answer with a very short answer for you, Slow-mo, which is 100% inaccurate, it comes with experience. The more you look at the charts, the more you trade, the more you know when it is a good time to enter and when it is not a good time to enter. It comes with experience. This would be my answer. Yeah. So back to Anton. The timing is very important. Yeah, the timing is very important. You need to understand that with timing, I'm pretty bad. I just know the Beirut timing, which is the city that I live in. So usually at 4:30 p.m. my time, it's very important to understand the movement of the market, because this is when the U.S. market opens. The U.S. markets affects the okay, I see a nice dog over here. So the opening of the US market really affects crypto. It really affects Bitcoin. It really affects the trend and the movement of Bitcoin. Sometimes you have meetings. Sometimes you have interest rates. Sometimes you have Jerome Powell speaking. So these affect the movement of the market. Sometimes you have the daily closing, the weekly closing, the monthly closing. These affect the movement of the coin. These affect the movement of the entire market. So the week, quick answer to your question, the day of the week or the time of the day is very, very, very important to take into consideration during trading. Okay, a trading session would be really interesting. I know it would be interesting, but I think we would probably do just one session for a trading session. For anyone who doesn't know, if you guys ever wanted a private session with me, you could be texting me. I do give private sessions. I teach the basics and I do teach the complicated stuff. It would be a one-on-one. It wouldn't be like a general meeting, but in case these are for the people who really want to invest in their knowledge and want to have maybe multiple questions. They want to do multiple live tradings, or they want to do more practice, not theory. So it's totally up to you guys, but we will be doing maybe every 2 weeks, maybe every 1 week. It really depends. A meeting with you guys. We would be covering a lot of stuff, so it would be totally 100% for free. But like if you wanted the advanced stuff, then yeah, that's totally up to you. So we go to GORDY. Well, this is just for small accounts, maybe more conservative approach. So